welcome to the I Ching Cafe and our weekly overview for the week commencing the 26th of October 2020. Of course, if you've not yet done so, there are only a few days left in October, so go and take advantage of our October monthly overview and go and have a look at what are some of the last bits of lessons that we need to wrestle and get out of what October has been for us. What is the flow of change October has brought to us? So last week we had hexagram 8, holding together, which was a locked hexagram, very static, very fixed energy for the week, lots of huge tumultuous change. And holding together, we spoke about last week, this whole idea of rethinking our groupings, the groups we belong to, the groups we associate with, being a leader to those groups, to the right groups, and perhaps an opportunity to reflect and think back on the associations you are part of. So what were some of the insights that you came up with last week? Well, this week we have no locked hexagram. We have 2 changing lines. So let's have a look at what the flow of change is for this week and how we can really make a difference in our thinking in our lives as we approach this week in our flow. Right, so our first hexagram for this week is hexagram 20, Contemplation. We have definitely had this hexagram before, and when we did it last time, I explained to you that the hexagram forms the shape of a tower. We have 2 masculine yang active lines at the top, and we have a whole lot of female yin resting passive lines underneath. And this forms the shape of a tower, and it represents looking at our situation, at our world through a much broader perspective, having a much bigger perspective. And one of the things that I think about when I think about this idea of this tower, of this contemplation, is what happens for astronauts when they go out into space. And there's this kind of very interesting studied effect where when the astronauts go out into space and they look back at Earth, they have this appreciation for how fragile the atmosphere is, how fragile life is on Earth, and how wonderful this home planet is that we have. And so they come back to Earth with a much broader perspective, a much more integrated, holistic view of the dynamics of the picture and how all the pieces fit together. Well, this week we're being asked to take ourselves out of the situation, whatever it is that's causing you stress right now, whatever is your challenge right now. This week there's an opportunity to draw ourselves out of that stress, out of that situation, into outer space, to look down at the situation with this new perspective and to appreciate and take it all in. Take it all in a new way. Understand the situation from a whole new angle, because there's something we need to see. And usually the things that we really, really need to see are the things we really, really don't want to see. So in your personal life, what is the perspective? What is the higher level perspective that can create peace and perspective and understanding in your situation? And in your business life, what view do you need to create? What is this higher level perspective that's going to show you how all these pieces fit together? Now, for a business, this is the ideal hexagram or flow of change to help you with rethinking and relooking at your strategy this week. If you can, make the opportunity to do that. The flow is with you, because this hexagram 20 contemplation is all about seeing the bigger picture and seeing where it is we're really going and what we're really trying to do and what do we stand for, and then coming back down to earth with a plan. So this week, some re-strategizing will be really, really powerful for you. Now, the 2 changing lines bring us some insight into where we might be having some difficulties with this bigger picture, because we don't get these hexagrams for a whim, it's a whim of flow. No, we get these hexagrams because we are growing. We're going through a process of understanding and learning and expanding our awareness. Now, these 2 changing lines certainly do that. We have them in the first and the second position, 2 changing lines. Our first changing line says, we are looking at the situation with a surface perspective. So we're seeing it, we're seeing a couple of symptoms, we're seeing a couple of issues, and we're saying, surface call, this is what it is, without digging deeper. And the I Ching says if you are one of the average masses, maybe you don't need to understand how things work or what's really going on. But if you are a leader, if you are trying to grow and master your life, it brings shame and humiliation not to want to know and to put in the effort to go under the surface. Okay, so we don't want shame and humiliation. We want to understand. And so part of this week is to take things where you make assumptions, where you assume things are, that's what there is. You take them at face value without really going underneath and looking at the deeper processes taking place. That's the first changing line. The next one, in the second position, describes us looking at the situation we're trying to contemplate through a crack in the door or through a keyhole. And we look through that crack and we see a slither of the room on the other side. And we interpret that slither, that tiny slice of that room, from our own egotistical perspective. We translate what we're seeing from our own biases, from our own expectations and our own interests. And what happens is we assume we are seeing the entire room through that slither, and we actually are not. Okay, so that's our second challenge for this week, is that where you are needing to do this contemplation, we are being asked to say, let's rather assume that what we are seeing, our perspective, what we believe to be true, is actually only a tiny little crack in the door. So what do we have to do? We have to broaden our minds outside ourselves and try and see the room from other people's perspective. This week, if there's anything that I can share with you, is dig into the issue, change line 1, and look at the situation from another person's point of view. You can do those two things. We can unlock the symbol or the story that is trying to make itself known to you, the bigger picture, how these things all fit together. Now, our second hexagram, our flow of change that works in a cycle with the first, is hexagram 61, centered truth. Now, what I find interesting is that these two hexagrams are almost cousins in a way they tell the story of take yourself out, remove yourself from the day-to-day, get a bigger perspective, go to the top of the mountain to get an elevated perspective, and stay centered in the heart and the truth of the matter. So very interesting little stories that we are going to be paying attention to this week. Centered in truth, hexagram 61, is all about getting to the heart of the matter. And you can see this from the hexagram. You see almost the two lines at the top, the male lines. We have a female line, then we have a female line, two male lines, and they almost form like a little hole or a little encasement or a geode. Okay, and inside is the heart of the matter, that little space in the center of the hexagram. And so this hexagram talks about the idea of getting connected to what's really true for you. There are a lot of meanings here to this hexagram. You know, each of the hexagrams are really nuanced. There's lots of complexity to them. So really get into the heart of the matter, and also making your inside world and your outside world line up. You can see these are almost like a mirror image, these two trigrams, as they form this heart in the middle. And so this hexagram calls us to make sure what's going on inside us and what we behave and what we say and how we project to the outside world line up. Not having one view and then saying something else on the external, because what that does, it breaks congruency. And what we want to do is get the inner and the outer to match, to line up. We're wanting to get to the heart of it, to be sincere, to be open-hearted, and be present with what we really need to know, the truth that is wanting to come to you. The last time we got this hexagram, I was meeting up with a friend for coffee, and we were chatting, and I was talking, and as I was talking, this kind of understanding came out of my mouth without me even realizing it. And when I heard myself say these words, it almost like resonated so deeply with me, and I went, oh my goodness, I know the decision I need to make. And it's almost as if just be open to being inspired through your heart understanding something on a deep level in a new way, and that just creating that alignment. And as a result of that conversation, it literally just took me out of not being aware of an issue to being aware of an issue to taking action on the issue and making the right decision at absolutely the right time. So, flashes of inspiration this week might be yours if you set your intention of being rooted in the heart, not in hectic emotions and drama. I'm talking about the higher heart, kindness and compassion for yourself and for the people around you, of being willing to know the truth more than anything else. Like the man who searches for water with a burning beard, right? Search for truth in this situation through contemplation, like the man with the burning beard searches for water. Wishing you a fantastic week with huge, big, wonderful, powerful, truthful insights that come to bring blessings to you in your personal life, to your businesses, to the groups that you are part of, wherever this may connect for you this week. And remember that there are only a couple of days left before the October giveaway tutorial is up. So make sure you pop along to the link below this episode to go and enter your question into the giveaway for October. In the meantime, I'll see you on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for our daily I Ching stories. And of course, take care, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.